once in a while the lottery with the group. Okay, but I never think of that as gambling. I know it is, but you know, everybody pitches in $1 when the jackpot is big. But other than you know, going to casinos, we rarely do.
How much do you gamble? And in light of the alleged point-shaving scandal at Northwestern, has gambling gone too far? What, if anything, needs to be done? We'll talk about it next, front and center.
Going beyond news headlines, tackling the topics and issues of the day. This is your weekly call-in show covering the subjects you care about most. This is CLTV's Front and Center.
Hello, I'm Monica Schneider, and front and center tonight. Do you gamble now and then? You know, place a wager in the old office pool here and there. Harmless fun, you say? So then why be shocked that college kids like these are reportedly gambling on their school games? Okay, so maybe some shaved some points to try and make the bets pay off. Rob Goldman now on the scandal at Northwestern University and what is no doubt just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to young adults and gambling across this country.
Less than 3 years after basking in the glow of a Rose Bowl season, Northwestern officials now must try and deal with the aftermath of a point-shaving scandal. The 1994-95 basketball Wildcats were bad. They went 5-22, 1-17 in the Big Ten. But not only were they losing, two players, Dion Lee and Dewey Williams, were making sure they lost big, charged with conspiring to commit sports bribery. Their teammates and head coach at the time say they had no idea the fix was in.
If it is true that they did it, obviously, you know, we have no idea whether it's true, and obviously I could not have ever known that that was possibly being done. But sure, if it's true, you're saddened by it, and you're saddened that even that it's an allegation.
It really is a problem in society, point spreads. You know, it's on TV, it's on radio, it's in newspapers, point spreads. And so that when you have that much amount of money basically in college sports, there is temptation.
This kind of thing has happened before at CCNY, Tulane, Kentucky, and most recently Arizona State. Northwestern proves it can happen anywhere, anytime. And for the NCAA to think otherwise would be foolish.
It's very naive to think that that what is out is the only is what we've seen is the only places where it's taken place. I think that something like this really underscores that it's happening in a lot of places. It's happening in a lot of places that we haven't found out about yet. So it's a big problem.
We get calls from college kids who owe into the thousands of dollars. And I don't know about you, but when I was in college, I didn't have any money. The problem's is clearly going to increase. I mean, we have a whole new generation of kids who are growing up now with legalized gambling. That's not, it wasn't legal when I was growing up.
Certainly, Northwestern's image has taken a major hit these past few days. It'll be up to those administrators, coaches, and yes, even the athletes now on campus to try and rebuild it. I'm Rob Goldman, CLTV News.
Well, Northwestern is moving on. Meantime, 3 of the 5 men accused of being part of that NU gambling ring, well, they pleaded not guilty today. But what about the bigger picture here? Kids and gambling overall. Is it harmless fun for the most part? Or are the incentives for corrupt behavior and the addiction potential just too high? What do you think? Our number is 630-575-TALK, and coming up, we will be joined by a member of the Illinois Council on Problem and Compulsive Gambling, and also a University of Illinois professor who's studied the issues of gambling. And again, we would like to hear from you. We are at 630-575-TALK. Back in just a moment.
In 1948, television was a new frontier, and WGN-TV began its distinguished history. By 1958, it revolutionized local news with the development of its own news team. In 1961, Bozo the Clown premiered on WGN and quickly became a legend across the nation. From powerful sports coverage to impressive programming to an award-winning community presence, WGN has made a difference in television and a difference in Chicago. Happy birthday, WGN.
Front and Center is brought to you by Ameritech. In a world of technology, people make the difference.
See this evening? My daughter Angela's put me in an uncomfortable position with my co-workers. Where she works at Ameritech, Instead of mailing separate bills like other phone companies, they're letting customers put local and long distance all on one bill. Even Ameritech's cell phone and internet. Angela says people like having just one phone bill to pay. As a bill payer, I can see a point. But as a bill carrier, I say the more mail, the better. I guess Angela can forget about ever getting her face on a stamp.
Experience unique dining at Genghis Khan in Downers Grove. Create your own dish from a wide variety of meats or seafood and a selection of fresh vegetables. Choose your own cooking sauces, then watch as your meal is prepared before your eyes on a huge Mongolian grill in just minutes. Every dinner includes fresh Mongolian bread, soup, appetizers, and dessert. Enjoy a healthy, low-fat, and flavorful lunch or dinner for $2 to $20 at Genghis Khan in Downers Grove. Call 630-629-8989.
A spectacular sale of antiques and fine art comes to Chicago O'Hare this weekend. With over 350 exhibitors from all over the U.S. and Canada, the O'Hare Antique Show offers something for everyone. You'll find antique furniture, art glass, porcelain, crystal, sterling, paintings and prints, estate jewelry, and much, much more. It's all happening this weekend at the Rosemont Convention Center next to the O'Hare Hyatt Regency on River Road. Opens at noon Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Every day, thousands of people are injured in all types of accidents, but few know how to find an attorney who can get them the right settlement for their injuries. When you need an attorney, it's critical you find a good one. Call 800-777-7774 and let Interactive Legal Network help you with your personal injury, medical malpractice, or workers' comp problem. You will speak directly with an attorney for your type of case, one who will fight for your rights. Call us today at 800-777-7774.
I used to gamble.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I actually entered another 12-step program and went through treatment for that and stopped gambling a number of years ago, actually. But it is a serious issue.
People seem to forget that. It's not just fun and games. There are people in this country who have had to get help with gambling addictions that have ruined their family life in some situations, have cost them a job perhaps. And you might say, well, that's their problem, it's a small percentage, so on and so forth. But when we're seeing the tentacles of this thing reach down to the college basketball level and Lord knows where else it's reaching, you know, maybe it's time to seriously talk about it this evening. And joining us for that purpose, Cindy Moriarty. She is with the Illinois Council on Problem and Compulsive Gambling, and also John Kindt. He's a professor of commerce and legal policy at the University of Illinois at Champaign, Urbana. So he had a bit of a drive to get here this evening. I want to thank you both. Cindy, from your perspective, this council of yours that you're part of was formed to address this type of issue, yet considering the stories keep getting bigger and coming from new avenues, how much are you able to actually do to prevent the problem from occurring in the first place, this compulsive thing that seems to lead to corruption and addictive behavior and such?
Well, working within the treatment professional, educating the treatment professional, the general public, doing a lot of public speaking. Education seems to be the area that we have to focus on, is really getting the word out that compulsive gambling is a problem that many people experience. It causes a lot of problems to families. And that
it's like all the stuff I just said, all the stuff I guess that we to some degree know, but it's a tough job, I'm sure. It's kind of like saying just say no to drugs. Now, you're a college professor. I'm sure drugs haven't gone away, and I'm sure that this Northwestern thing is, as a lot of folks are saying, the tip of the iceberg.
Well, you've made a very good point, and that is that people have forgotten that this is an addictive behavior. Sociologists compare gambling to legalizing drugs. Gambling is recognized by the American Psychiatric Association as an addictive behavior. It's listed in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. It's called pathological gambling. To call it compulsive gambling sort of makes it look like it's shopping or eating too much, and those are disorders. But gambling is more serious than that. It's pathological gambling, according to the American Psychiatric Association, and I think we ought to just call it that. This is an addictive behavior. People get hooked on it, and we're seeing double the addiction rate among young people, adolescents, and college people that is in the adult population.
You have looked at this, and obviously you're working with it. Some folks seem to be shocked that, Oh my word, Northwestern, not wonderful Northwestern. It would never happen there. And yet, you know, can you really be that shocked? And my question is, does it really go further than that? You're talking about adolescence. I guess I've seen a movie of the week or something about the high school kids gambling now and going into mom's purse, and it was kind of a silly movie, and I don't know why I watched the whole thing, but at the same time I wondered, I bet you it's out there.
Well, Cindy probably has a perspective on this, but most of the real problem and pathological gamblers get started early. And many times they're introduced to this at around the age of 10, 11, or 12 when they see their parents going out and gambling. And we're raising the first generation to believe that gambling is acceptable. They see it everywhere. We have kids going into grocery stores and buying lottery tickets, which is technically illegal, and some of the grocery stores have taken them out. But it's very hard to say to young people that you can't gamble, that this is an improper behavior, because it's everywhere, it's advertised, it's sponsored in the lottery by the government. So when the government sponsors it, they're sending a message to children.
I had a high school student call me today from one of the northern suburbs to do an article on compulsive gambling in the school. This is not the first high school that's called and said, what can you tell me? We're doing an article on this. We believe that we have some problems in our school.
And what are they outlining to you beyond, you know, buying these lottery tickets at not the proper age and such?
The gambling that's going on in the school.
Right. What are they doing exactly? What kinds of things?
There's poker games in the cafeteria. There's weekend poker games. Many of the parents condone this, thinking the kids are not out doing drugs and alcohol. They're at home playing a couple of card games. What's the problem? And
okay, I'll bite. What is the problem? I mean, if my kid sees me playing poker with the friends on the weekend, and, you know, I mean, we're not compulsive about it. It's just a nice, fun way to get together, so we wager a little bit here and there. What's the problem?
What teenager is not interested in something for nothing, or something that comes quick and easy, a quick fix to their financial, a way to make money quickly? That's a problem. It's a value system that...
And if it's ingrained young, we're in trouble.
Right. We now have state approval on something that once used to be illegal.
Yeah, there's a difference between gaming, that is playing Monopoly for fun or playing chess for fun, and then sitting down and playing something for money as an opportunity.
Make it interesting, John.
Well,
we don't even call it gambling. We're calling it gaming and entertainment now. I mean, we don't have gaming problems. We don't have compulsive gaming.
Bit of semantics at work.
And it's being advertised by governments. Governments are promoting this, but people have forgotten that this is a predatory economic push on society. And you bring in a problem and pathological gamblers. What some people don't realize is that half of the money, for example, going into the casinos here in Illinois is coming out of pathological and problem gamblers. The actual numbers are about 30 to 55% of the money going in is coming out of a very small percentage of the public. That's between 2 and 10% of the public who are becoming pathological and problem gamblers. This is an addictive behavior. And when we send these messages to young people, we're bringing them into the ambiance of gambling.
What was interesting in terms of the Northwestern story, I don't know how many of you were keeping track of that as it was unfolding, but one of the sort of allegations that was out there was that one of these kids got involved with the whole point shaving thing, I believe, because to start with, he himself was gambling and somehow addicted to it and owed a big debt. And so then the pressure was supposedly, allegedly put on him by his student bookie that either, you know, you go along with this thing or we're going to break something on you that's going to keep you from playing down the road. So it turns pretty ugly pretty quickly, I guess.
Yeah, not wanting to address a specific situation, but if you're dealing with an impulse control disorder, an addictive behavior, what happens is once the person becomes hooked, then what they need is money to do their habit. And so Cindy here has told you she's met former members of organized crime who've talked about how they work on the campuses. And it's the type A personalities who get hooked. It's the very best students and the very best workers, the very best blue-collar workers, the very best white-collar workers. Sports people are susceptible.
That's an interesting note. And I do want you to expand on that, Cindy, in terms of the organized crime avenue of this. I mean, parents might look at it as being innocent. But again, we don't have somebody on the pro-gambling side here this evening, so I will say, you know, you can run these horror stories by me. Oh my goodness, there's some campus gambling of some sort going on. Realistically, though, do I have to think that organized crime is going to try to stick their fingers on every college campus in this country?
Why not? Why not expect that they wouldn't be there? There's money to be made. There are individuals involved. I mean, we're talking about some very classic textbook kind of examples with this. When You are gambling like any other addiction. When you run out of your own money and there's nothing left to borrow, you will turn to illegal activities to keep it going. Because once again, as long as I can get some money and stay in there, I've got a chance to turn it around. The gambling problem starts because the individual won to begin with, and they start to believe that if I won once, I can do it again.
That old high.
Yeah,
Okay, we're going to take a break here just quickly. Need to pay for some of this time here. And those of you at home, I want to invite you to give us a call this evening as well. What do you think about this? Perhaps you've wagered on a couple of things, played in that old office pool. You know, technically that office pool is illegal in this state, but I guess it's small potatoes compared to some of the other stuff out there. So what's your opinion?
People are spending money they desperately need for other things on gambling. And I feel it's far too pervasive, and I don't know how it's going to be stopped now that it's in.
Well, that's true. It is legalized in some aspects now, isn't it? All those riverboats and casinos that were supposed to pump up the economic blood of local communities. In some cases, the jury's still out on that. In some cases, folks say, I don't know if it's working. Somebody's getting rich, though. We've done programs on that as well. But this evening, we're talking about especially the kids getting caught up in this and how big of a problem of it is. Martin from Oak Lawn on the phone lines. Hi, Martin.
Hello.
What's your thought about this?
Well, it's about gambling. I've gambled for 70 years.
So what's the problem, huh?
Not a problem. You're making mountains out of molehills. I've enjoyed the only game I've never played for money is checkers.
Okay, let's have our guests respond to you. Stay on the line there, Martin.
Yeah, it says you're making a mountain out of a molehill, and I know I'm giving a lot of the negatives here, but I want to say I'm not anti-gambling. I just like to give the statistics and educate the public on this, which is why Congress had congressional hearings in 1994 and 1995. Back to the organized crime aspect, I remember sitting in 95 behind a former member of organized crime who was testifying before Henry Hyde's committee, and he was basically saying, when you legalize gambling, thanks, you're helping organized crime. And there are plenty of estimates out there that for every dollar that's bet legally, there's at least $1 bet illegally. And so by increasing legalized gambling, there's a growing body of evidence that says that you're helping illegal gambling. And we've seen that around the casinos in Wisconsin, where crime has gone up 100% faster around the casinos than it has in the non-gambling counties.